So for tonight's video, I'm going to be tapping on some Toltec wisdom books. It's been a while since I've read a few of these, so I don't know how much I'm going to be talking throughout the video, but we'll do some tapping, maybe some shushing and some tongue clicks if needed. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So this book is Ripples of Wisdom by Don Jose Ruiz with Tammy Hudman. I really like this book because every day there's a short little paragraph of inspiring words that you can read, and you can open this book to any page, any day, and have just words of wisdom and inspiration in short little paragraphs. So I really like this book. Usually every morning I'll crack it open and see what the day has to offer. It also sounds really nice to be tapped on. That spine is hard to get to, but it does sound nice. This is a really good one. I like this one. Alright, let's move on to another book because I have a few books here to get to. Let's move on to The Fifth Agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz and Don Jose Ruiz. This one was a collaboration after the 4 agreements. The 5th agreement is be skeptical but learn to listen. Be skeptical but learn to listen. That applies to your own thoughts. Be skeptical of your own thoughts but learn to listen what they're telling you. It also applies to other people when they tell you stories or they talk about their day. It's very important to be skeptical, but learn to listen to what people are saying to you. So that's what I like about this book, The Fifth Agreement. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. And it sounds really nice when we tap on it. Let's turn it over, see what the back sounds like. The back of the book sounds really nice too. Let's turn it over again. The Fifth Agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz and Don Jose Ruiz. That's a father and son, if you've never read any of their books. Shh. Shh. Alright, let's move on to another book. Okay. Let's move on to a nice hardcover book. This is The Mastery of Self by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. It sounds really nice to be tapped on too. I do remember one story in this book where the grandson is having soup with the grandmother, and the grandson, he's full, and he says, "Grandma, I don't want any more soup." But Grandma, she has other ideas. Grandma says, "Now be a good boy and finish your soup." She says, think of all the starving children in the world that don't get to eat. It's rude if you don't eat your soup. So the little boy, he eats his soup. But that little boy grows up to be a man, and one day that man is eating dinner and he's full, but he remembers his grandma's domestication. You have to finish your soup if you're a good boy. So what does the man do? Even though he's full, he finishes his soup, just like Grandma said. So that's just one example from the mastery of self, of how we can be domesticated and how we can become auto-domesticators, how we domesticate ourselves through our attachments and our beliefs. That's why I really like this book. That's just one story I remember, and it's told way more eloquently in this book. If you ever want to read up on that story, I definitely recommend this book. See if we can get the spine of this book. That's The Mastery of Self by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. I think he's the eldest son of Don Miguel Ruiz. Makes nice tapping sounds anyway. Let's turn it back over again now. That's The Mastery of Self by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. Alright, let's move on to another book. This next one is The 5 Levels of Attachment. It is also by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. The 5 Levels of Attachment. So this book gets you to take a look at your beliefs and where do your beliefs come from and how attached are you to those beliefs. There's an example of a story in here. If you're at a level 1 attachment to your beliefs, let's say you have a favorite hockey team, or no, let's just say you're watching sports and a hockey game is playing. You don't really care who wins or loses, you just enjoy watching the game. That's a level 1 attachment. There's also an unfortunate story. It's an extreme case, but there was a level 5 attachment to a belief. There was an individual whose team lost, and in grief of his team losing, he drove his van into a group of people wearing the wrong colors, wearing the other color's team. Now that's an extreme example, but that would be an example of a level 5 attachment to your belief system. And he explains it way better in the book, The 5 Levels of Attachment. That's just sort of a story that I remember from this book. It's definitely written way more eloquently than what I just described, that's for sure. But it is a very, very good book. Helps you understand where your beliefs come from and how attached are you to those beliefs, and do you want to stay attached to those beliefs or do you want to change your beliefs? That's what this book is about. I hope I did it justice just then, but it is a very good book. That's The 5 Levels of Attachment by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. If any of that speaks to you. Let's flip it to the back. Yeah, the back sounds good too. Alright, let's flip it over. this one for a minute. I really like this book. I've read it many times. Alright, this next book, The Wisdom of the Shamans, it's by Don Jose Ruiz. It still is Toltec wisdom. It's a little bit more on the shamanic side, if you will, if you want to say. But the reason why I included this book is because of my tattoo. This is Quetzalcoatl and it's directly from a chapter in this book. The story of Quetzalcoatl, the birth of Quetzalcoatl is in this book, and that is what inspired me to get that tattoo that you see here right now. So let's tap on this for a bit. There are many stories in this book, The Wisdom of the Shamans, Don Jose Ruiz. There's a lot of inspiring tales in this book, very well done storytelling in this book. And that's why I like it, and that's why I included it today. The Wisdom of the Shamans by Don Jose Ruiz. Alright, let's get to the spine. That spine sounds not too bad. I hope the camera picks it up enough. Shh. Let's flip it over. Alright, let's move on to another book, shall we? This one is The Mastery of Life by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. That's The Mastery of Life by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. This book I read more recently. What's special about this book is it is a reflection of the retreats that they do in Teotihuacan. They walk the plazas, and every step of the way is a spiritual experience in each of the plazas. So this book is a reflection of the work that they do there. It's actually a dream of mine one day to do a retreat there. That would be such a dream. That would be a dream come true, actually. One of these years, maybe I'll be able to get down there and do a retreat. That's definitely on my bucket list, is to do a retreat in Teotihuacan. Let's flip this one over. Let's flip it back over again. It sounds the same on both sides to me. Alright, let's move on to another book. This one is The Mastery of Love, and this one is by Don Miguel Ruiz. This is done by the father. This is Don Miguel Ruiz. The Mastery of Love. Actually, I just realized I gotta get one more book just to the backside of me here. One second. The backside of me, I guess what I meant was behind me. There was another book behind me I had to grab there. basically, if you lived in a house that had a kitchen with no food, you'd be so hungry. If someone showed up on your doorstep with a pizza, you might invite that person in. And every day that person comes with a pizza. Now the only problem is the person that brings the pizza, they start abusing you. They start calling you names, maybe like stupid or dumb or you're not good enough. But because you have no food, you need that pizza, so you let it happen because you need pizza, you need to eat. So you let this person in day after day, and they're rude to you day after day. But if you imagine you lived in that same house with a kitchen full of food that never runs out ever, that person will show up with a pizza, but you don't need that pizza anymore because your kitchen is full. You could invite that person in to share food, but if that person tried to abuse you when you had all the food in the world, you would politely ask them to leave. So that's like a metaphor in life. If you love yourself, you don't need the love of someone else to be complete, but you share your love with that person, and that person shares their love with you. And if that person tries to abuse you, you don't need that person. You ask them to take their pizza and leave. So that's one of the stories in this book, and obviously it's written way more eloquently than what I just said, but that's what I remember of the story. The mastery of love, self-love, unconditional. See if the spine sounds good. Not really. Alright, let's keep tapping on the back. And there's a photo of Don Miguel Ruiz there. Shh. Alright, now the book that was behind me that I had to grab, let's look at that one. It was none other than The Four Agreements. This is also by Don Miguel Ruiz, the father of the family of authors. That's Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements. I usually always forget one agreement when I recite them. There's be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, always do your best, and what was that other one? Be impeccable with your word. Oh, don't take anything personally. I told you I always forget one. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. Those are the four agreements. And he explains how to use those in your daily life in this book, but I'm not going to try to explain it because I don't want to butcher it. But this book is monumental. This is the book that started it all. The Four Agreements. I highly recommend this book if this kind of thing speaks to you. And it sounds good when you tap on it. Let's flip it over. Actually, I have one more book. It's more of a shamanic book, and the more shamanic side of Toltec wisdom, I should say, I guess you can say it. And this one is The Shaman's Path to Freedom. This one is by Don Jose Ruiz, The Shaman's Path to Freedom. The same author of The Wisdom of the Shamans. I don't remember too much from this book. It's been a while since I've read this one, so I'm just going to tap a little bit on this one. But if this speaks to you, I highly recommend this book. It is a Toltec wisdom book. Lots of valuable insights in here, even if I can't remember a few of them right now. We gotta be honest, right? Alright, let's go back to a little bit of this one. And that will be it for today's video. this time with me as much as I have. I love these Toltec wisdom books. And I invite you to check any one of them out if any of this speaks to you. So thank you for being here. Hopefully maybe you were inspired. And we will see you again in another video.